Hey everybody, this is Jeff from Build an Aquarium Workshop, and today's episode we're going to go ahead and set up a 6-gallon aquarium. This aquarium was used for previously for a couple small goldfish, which outgrew it, relocated them into a bigger aquarium. That will be in a future episode. We'll do a goldfish tank. This tank is going to be used for a pea puffer. A single pea puffer. They get about an inch, so it's a perfect little aquarium for one little fish. And so we have today the gravel, which we're going to go ahead and it's this natural gravel. It's not sand. Sand would probably be better for the pea puffer, but this is an all-in-one aquarium that has a built-in filtration system and pump, as I will show you in a bit, with this clip-on LED lights. And so sand gets tricky because when you start doing water changes, it kicks up the sand, and then a lot of times the sand gets into the filtration system on over to the pump, which is bad for the pump because the pump has an impeller, and if it gets sand in it, it can mess up the impeller, and then we'll have to replace the pump. So the sand is high maintenance, but it's the better look for a pea puffer, and that's the environment that the pea puffer is more suited to, where the pea puffer comes from. So for today we have the decorations. We're going to go ahead and we bought these nice set of aquarium plants at a local shop. They're plastic plants, but they look pretty real, and they should look pretty good once we put them in there. Okay, so here's a better view of the tank, as you can see, and you can see it's a aquarium where you don't have a hang-on filter. We are going to use a tiny submersible heater for it, and we're not going to put it in the chamber, but one of these chambers, if you swivel this LED light out of the way, you can see it's got a carbon insert, and it also has a little filter pad. It's probably better just to do that. So there we go. So this one's been used. We're going to have to custom make our own because this aquarium isn't made any longer. It was bought at Petco, and it's a frameless or rimless aquarium with the clip-on LED light and filtration. Very, very nice. However, it's got that slight curve to the front, and the lid cracked. So we're going to actually make a lid for it and put it on to help with water evaporation, because if you don't, the water evaporates much quicker and we'll be placing water a lot. So we're going to get a lid made and we're going to put that on there. And it also lid serves as functions for fish not jumping out. And even though we're not really worried too much about the pea puffer jumping out, it still, like I said, serves for both purposes. If you've ever seen fish, they get scared. Sometimes they do make a dash, and that could mean that they jump out of your tank. And then here we have a carbon insert, which I highly recommend. So you can get these. If they don't fit, you can just shave them down with regular scissors. Or I brought the other option in a bag, which we'll rubber band together, make sure the carbon doesn't come out. This is actually carbon. That actually can fit in that chamber as well. And then you can keep changing out the carbon monthly or quarterly. I wouldn't change it out less than quarterly. Definitely every 3 months you'd want to change it out. Sometimes in these small aquariums you might want to change it out more often, more regularly, get it on a monthly schedule. And then in here, instead of this cartridge, we're going to put a blue pad that we have. So what's going to happen is this is where the water is going to intake, and so anything that's going to get sucked up through their particles will hit the pad first, then it's going to go through this chamber where the carbon is, and finally there's just pure water, hopefully, goes into this last chamber where the return pump is. And this is the outlet for that, which can be moved around, adjusted for flow. It's got a pretty good flow on it, as you'll see when we set the aquarium up. And then that's our clip-on LED light. It has a moonlight option, which is pretty cool. So that's off. That's just the moonlight, which is great for nighttime so you don't go completely dark. A lot of fish will jump out because they're not used to pitch black. So that's a great option to have with LED lighting. And then there's all the lights on, the moonlights, as well as the regular daylight. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll go outside and we're going to go ahead and clean out this gravel. Just rinse it out real quickly, and then we're going to put it in the aquarium. Okay, so now we rinsed out our gravel with just some tap water outside, and it's ready to go into the aquarium. And all we're going to do is put this in. It's a 5-pound bag of gravel. This is a 6-gallon aquarium. It's usually a pound per gallon to fit. Is about right. Depends how thick you want the substrate. And now we'll go ahead and just spread the gravel out so you can see what it looks like. And if we need to add more gravel, we can. And just that's what that looks like now. It's looking pretty nice. It's going to look good. So all we're going to do next is we're going to rinse out now the plants. And we're going to put those in, but you can add the water and then put the plants in. There's different ways to do it. If you don't want things to be disturbed too much, you can even put like a bowl. In this case, we're going to probably just splash we'll use the same bucket. We'll splash the water off of the back drop here. And that way, instead of pouring the water directly in, which will create a big crater and stir things up, it might knock over the plants. We're going to do that so that the water will go in the tank without disturbing the gravel or the plants. So let's go ahead and rinse out the plants. I'm going to set them up, and then you can just do a little aquascaping. You can see what it's going to look like. And these are pretty cool. So these are top fins, so that means we purchased them from PetSmart as a set. So they're pretty cool. It's actually more than one plant here on the bigger pieces, as you can see, with some, it looks like grass. So these are pretty heavy too, so you're not gonna worry about them floating up. We'll still dig them into the gravel because we want it to look natural. So there's one plant we're gonna put in there. And then this one was like a tall piece of grass, which is pretty cool, with shorter pieces of grass. And then we've had a couple little pieces, little plant there, and again, it comes on a little base. Put that in there, and then they gave us another one right there. Put that in, as well as a couple pieces of, they look like just little pieces of grass. So, in most cases when you aquascape an aquarium, you really want to put the bigger pieces in the back so you can see. And so this lends itself to putting it towards this corner right here, or the other corner. And so we're gonna dig that in. And again, that comes down to how much gravel do we need. And so there you go. If we do that, now you can see it looks like it. You don't see the base, it's buried, it looks natural. Same with this piece, so put this in the back. And this is really, the pea puffer is going to be really happy because they need coverage. They need to feel protected. A lot of fish do. Some of the open water fish, not a big deal. They're going to be swimming around. And usually when you put a lot of fish in, what happens is, especially the open water fish that are constantly swimming back and forth, they say that everything's okay. They kind of signal that to other fish. And so the fish that are a little bit more shy, the ones that find homes, are the ones that if they see other fish swimming around, then it signals to them that it's okay, that things are okay, and they can come out and swim around, and you're more likely to see them. But in a tank where it's just maybe one shy fish, and it sees, things coming in and out of the room, light changing. A lot of times it's frightened and it's not sure. And so either way, it's going to need security and safety. And a lot of, if you don't use rocks, plants offer that security and that safety, as well as a home. Some fish are used to environments with lots of plants. Others are more barren, but sometimes they live in shells, or they might live in rock caves, rocky areas, things like that. And then, so we just put those two there, and then you got little grass here, little outcroppings of grass, which we could put, in the foreground, which is kind of cute. Put some there, put some here, have fun with it. That's one of my favorite parts of the hobby is aquascaping, as well as the husbandry of the fish. I love the fish. Who doesn't? I think that's what we do it for. It's not just the look, but it's also the kind of fish, their personalities and habits, which are interesting to watch. But aquascaping is also equally interesting. It's not something we constantly redo all the time, but if you have more than one aquarium, it's nice to set them up, especially when they're different biotypes. Like this one is going to be more plant, but then I'll be setting up in the future a Tanganyika tank, which will be mainly rock in sand, and that one's going to be pretty cool. And then we're going to do a sand dweller, which will just be sand and shells, because these fish they live in shells. So you'll see the different types of biotypes. So that's it. We're going to go ahead now and get our water, and we'll dechlorinate it and get the filter up and running. I did put in the pad here. I pre-cut a pad. And then I also put in the next chamber is the carbon that I showed you in the bag. So now we've got our pad, to capture particles, and we've got the carbon, which is the water purifier that keeps the water nice and clean and clear. Okay, we have the aquarium set up with the water, and we got the filter up and running. As you can see, slightly cloudy, but not too bad. I put the LED lights on. It does have the filtration. The plants, one of the plants got uprooted, so we'll put that back down. Other than that, everything else was undisturbed, and so we're gonna go ahead and use our TetraSafe for the water, and like I said, that works instantly. But I recommend that if you're gonna do not too much, just a couple drops. So there's a couple drops right there. That's all this tank needs, not a whole lot. So this bottle will last you quite a while unless you do lots of water changes and have bigger tanks. And in there, we're gonna use a preset submersible heater, which is set for 78 degrees, which is perfect for most tropical fish. We're not going to have to touch the heater that way. It's submersible, so it's going to fit inside. It could actually fit in the chamber, but we might actually find room for it depending when we see how big it is. It's pretty small. We'll put it behind the plants. It's black. It'll probably blend in, and you won't see it at all. So that's what it looks like with the plants. Came out quite nicely. The LEDs are on, and you can see it. So that's all we have left to do. So we're going to get a lid made, put the heater in. And I recommend setting up the tank 24 hours before you put the fish in there. Make sure you have other things that you'll need: a fish net, a fish scrubber, make sure it's aquatic safe, to scrub algae, scrub the glass. In the future, to be able to do water changes, a little tiny water hose, which I'll show you when we do our first water change. We'll have a little siphon hose. I'll show you how to do that, because we need to get the water from the bottom. We'll do small partial water changes on this pea puffer tank. It's just going to be one small pea puffer. We'll be careful with the feeding. We'll cycle the tank out, which means that we're going to not treat it like a bowl where we just constantly change the water out to keep it clean and clear. We're actually going to do small partial water changes. And when it comes, that'll be a separate episode, and I'll show you how we can maintain it. If we had more fish or bigger fish, which I wouldn't recommend because it's only 6 gallons of water, it could get pretty dirty pretty fast, when we would have to treat it more like a bowl, even though it has a filter. Okay, so make sure you hit a like and a subscribe, because we'll be doing lots and setting up lots and lots of fish tanks, talking to other tropical fish hobbyists, whether they're new or have been around, no matter what kind of tank they have. We also have saltwater tanks, so we're going to show saltwater tanks, reef tanks, goldfish tanks, and lots of other aquarium. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Went and got a pea puffer today, and this is the pea puffer. If you can see him, he's in the bag acclimating. There he is. Okay, and we bought a piece of driftwood to throw in there, and we just wanted to let you know real quick that proper way to acclimate him. Okay, so it's been at least 25-30 minutes, so we're ready to go ahead and release our pea puffer. So we opened the bag here, and we've been putting water in there. And we slowly we emptied a lot of the water, and we started to slowly put water in and double the volume of the water for the pea puffer. And so now it's the fish is acclimated to both water chemistry as well as temperature. Okay, so so here's a little pea puffer. If you'll follow me, we're just gonna go ahead and dump the water. This is the best way to do it. And you can see the fish there. Get this bag in there. There's a little pea puffer in there. There he goes, or she goes. There's a pea puffer right there. And that way you don't release any potential problems in your tank if it's from another tank that's having problems, okay? Especially bacteria or parasites. Okay, so there it is, folks. There's the pea puffer. Where'd you go? Oh, right here. That's the pea puffer right there. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.